So, previously on Starfinder against the Aeon, we introduced ourselves because it was the first session, and we were flying to a colonial base on a new planet where we each had our individual wants and needs to be there, selected, hand plucked from a large group of people to ship goods to the new planet. We were in transit for quite a long time. And upon arriving, we immediately were attacked by drone ships. So we scrambled Thaddeus's little fighter and Pride, the large ship that we came in on. And we had a quick little battle where we dominated them. Like it was a good fight. We thought it was a bit odd. We fly lower and we realise, oh, the colonial base has anti-aircraft turrets where the landing spot should be. That's weird. So we went and landed further out afield and started trekking our way to the colony. We came across I came across a patrol of some group. I can't remember now what their name was, because it's been quite a while.
They were like Aslanti human occupying force. There's just some sort of patrol.
Evil Empire.
Evil Empire occupation force. So we murdered them. Asked some questions to which the guy was very patriotic in his answers. So we left him, surrounded by all his dead friends, and we carried on. And then as we were going along, minding our own business, getting closer and closer, we some guy, also known as some dude, came running out of the shrubbery towards us, shooting behind him. So we were like, hey, if he's shooting the guys that we were shooting, we should shoot the guys that he's shooting. So we shot the guys that he was shooting, and we're sort of like, hey, who's this dude? And I can't remember if we actually found out who
No, we stopped because I had no voice.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah, your voice was going, so we were like, we'll figure it out later.
Mystery of some dude.
Here we are, some dude, and honestly, he looks kind of tired.
He does.
He is tired. You can. I mean, he is absolutely exhausted. He's panting. He doesn't look like the type who runs a lot, and the armor that isn't exactly armor, but more of an old spacesuit, looks a bit heavy and unwieldy. He's basically just collapsed next to the rock, sort of leaning next to it, trying to sort of find words to speak with, but just stopping himself just to catch a few more breaths before finally going, I have no idea who any of you are. Are you one of the mining outposts? I honestly don't quite care, but thanks. I don't quite know what I was thinking just trying to run away. I didn't even have a plan following up. What was I gonna do in the jungle? Just survive on monkey food and thunderstorms.
Yeah, Seraph's in the middle of the storm.
For static.
Ominous thunderstorm. It's very, very appropriate for our setting.
Barnabas will call over as he's walking. He just want to like walk over, scare the crap out of him, and then start talking.
I want you to do exactly.
Barnabas has been through this before, hasn't he?
Yeah, he knows now. He knows. So he will call out and.
He seems too exhausted to really be afraid of you.
Barnabas will first call over and say, well, before we tell you who we are, do you have any injuries that are urgent?
Oh no, nothing. Just a grazing shot, maybe. Can't quite feel it. Adrenaline's still high, but I'll be fine.
Right. Well, let's get down to it then. My crew and I are, well, a transport crew. We were here to transport supplies to the colony here, which Well, yeah, as he kind of waves his hand kind of just in the air to explain that. Why? I'm assuming you're one of the colonists, but what exactly happened here?
Oh, well, suppose you want the full story. I don't even know how far back to start then. It's maybe it's when we saw that meteor crash land, about 10 or 20 miles from here. Some of our folks, Sedona, Corsica, Tyr, and others, and they came back, and you know those folk?
Tyr? What happened?
Oh, he's quite recognizable, isn't he? Well, nothing bad at first. They went to that meteor, which turned out to not be a meteor at all, but rather some sort of probe. High tech, quite high tech, supposedly. Haven't seen it myself. So, but that's not the interesting part. The probe itself disintegrated when it crashed, but it landed near another crashed thing, a starship, much better condition. Not one any of us recognized either. Been there for ages, probably longer than the colony itself. So Sedona went into that crashed ship, came out all excited, supposedly, all tech, very much a thing. Tyr was not as excited, but, well, who knows? He just saw more problems having been here on this planet that he didn't anticipate. Didn't like that. So Sedona talked to your leader, who's Madeline, obviously, considering it's Madeline's landing colony, and Ibretta, that's our best mechanic and also my ex-wife, but that's not relevant to the story. So, and then a few days later, another starship arrives. Not you folk, but just quite big one. Sails in above the town, blasts our communication building to slag, and unloads a bunch of soldiers. Wasn't really a lot we can do. We have a few pistols and the couple odd spare mining laser, but we're not soldiers, we're colonists. Soldiers rounded up everyone in town, and their leader, some sort of certain woman whose face I never saw behind that green helmet of hers, told us that our planet was now annexed, part of the Aslanti Star Empire. And anyone that was protesting was shot right there. Made us bury the bodies, then forced us to unload some prefab buildings, which they turned into a garrison in the center of town. Probably saw it from orbit, that big thing with guns on top. The woman then asked us about the crash ship. Turns out it's old Aslanti technology, and she was very interested in it. So they rounded up all the people who went there, Sedona, Corsica, Tyr, and a couple others, and just jailed them in the garrison. Then ship left again, but all the soldiers stayed.
And how did you get out, if I may say so, sir?
Well, it's been some time since they took over the town.
How long?
A couple of weeks back. It's been a while. I just saw a chance to run away. It wasn't a good plan, I have to admit, but I'm not exactly a fighter or brave, so...
Andy looks sympathetic to him and also a bit nervous as he says that last sentence.
I
sort of squirms.
I'm not just here for the transport. I did come to see Ibretta, but if she is in danger, then I do owe her a favor.
Oh, well, the
Yes.
entire colony is in danger. They might still be running things, but they've got all those prisoners, and anyone who does anything they don't like just either gets jailed as well or shot on the spot.
Well, I'm not exactly going to walk up to the front door and shout at them to let them out, of course. Even though, well, he looks down at himself and he's like, you know what I mean.
Approximately how large is this occupying force from the Aslanti Star Empire?
I'd estimate maybe 40, 50 of them.
Oh, boy.
Here, Brandis is his gun with his water form. Looks to the captain.
That's a quick way to get yourself killed, Jacques Pierre. I admire your
We
skill.
have to do something, though.
Yes, a quieter approach, I would assume. What what is your name?
Name's Gellick Folsom.
Well, Gellick, do you know anywhere nearby we could hole up?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's my ex-wife's shop. It's at the edge of town. We can probably sneak in there.
Because I'm not going to assume anything of your character, but I don't think you'll survive long running around without a place to go, or stay, or hide, more like.
You are very much correct, Mr. Bear.
So perhaps we should head there then, and despite how dangerous it is, we are sitting ducks as we are. Perhaps we can speak more then.
Captain,
Yes?
if this man here is someone who has recently escaped from the occupying force, then perhaps going to a place that is connected to his history is a place that the occupying force would think to look for him. It may not be wise to go to a place that he is associated with.
I haven't been physically present in my ex-wife's company in a few months at this point. Unless those people investigated my personal history, they wouldn't know of my connection.
That is a good point, Andy, but in plain sight is often the best place to hide. They wouldn't dare dream of assuming people like us would hide in front of their noses, so it's the best
If
option
that's
we
what you
have.
think is best.
We.
So, you know the way, I'd assume?
Yeah, I do. I can show you on this map I have.
Sure. We'll let you catch your breath, and then we'll make our way.
It is very much appreciated. As out of one of his pouches, he will unfold a map of the area, which includes the colony, Madeline's Landing. You can see on the left.
Oh, cool. Neat.
I pinned some places, but actually forgot the one that is immediately relevant, which is Beretta Fulton's junk shop, which is right there to the north.
Where are we exactly, roughly?
You would
Coming.
be roughly northwest-ish, about 10 minutes, not that far at all.
Okay.
Thaddeus, before we leave, will say, actually, where's that AA emplacement?
It is right in the center of the colony. The map
Oh,
he
is that
has
it?
is
Oh,
of
okay.
the colony. It doesn't include the buildings the Aslanti brought.
Alright, sure.
Mm.
Can we
A
add...
nice crystal mine thing.
Yeah, can we add AA turret to that pin? Just
I
so
mean, you-
Yeah,
remember.
does he have a pen he can just draw from memory what the place looks like now?
Just a blob.
Feel
will be
feel
fine
free
for me.
to
I have a pen.
put down labels.
Okay.
Here you go.
Wow.
Oh, it's a little. Here you go.
I mean, I can't really put in anything interesting. It's a square building, not exactly.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
fine. So, with all due respect, Captain, I
Yes.
would personally be quite happy with blowing up that AA battery along with the garrison that sits underneath it.
As long as we get everyone out, of course. I'd hope.
That's where they keep the prisoners. So bombing from orbit, the AA gun aside, which is exactly, I assume, to present that option, not a great idea.
Who says we can't rig
However,
explosions?
if we can
Take it out on the way out, for sure.
the gun,
Yes.
the colonists could be protected in the future.
It does
Possibly.
make more
They could
sense
use
to
it
take out
themselves.
this.
Andy, how feasible would it be for tech like this to be reconditioned for this sort of use?
Sheep, can I make I guess, a computers check or engineering check to see what my knowledge of this field would be?
Sure. What question exactly are you asking? Recondition to what exactly?
To be used for the colonists rather than
Okay.
Yeah.
destroying it.
Presumably they have some sort of like, I don't know, a DNA lock or something, so only Aslanti people can use it or something like that.
Yeah, I think a culture check would be more appropriate.
Okay.
You can
let me
do
just-
either or both, rather.
Both? Okay.
Both.
All right. Culture is not as good, but I'll do my computer's check.
Well, since Barnabas asked you the question, he'll do a culture check with you.
Sounds good.
He's a bear of culture, hopefully. No, the same.
What if you get
well,
bonuses? I'm trying to do a culture check. Maybe. Oh well.
I got a good bonus. I rolled a 4 on my computer's
Why is
check.
it your bonus? It's so high.
I just don't know.
Well,
Who knows what that was the Empire?
Because we're all trying to figure.
Thaddeus is not cultured.
No. Shoot first.
He
Case
asks
of
questions
elevator.
later.
No.
so Andy would think in general, yes, it's very likely that large weaponry isn't just available to be used by anyone who knows how to press a button. On the other hand, he would also know that every computer can be coerced to do things it's not supposed to, but whether that's necessary or in what way that would have to be done, it could be anything from a simple password to a fingerprint scanner to a DNA scanner to a key card, who knows?
Right.
I would have to be in front of the systems to be sure, but given enough
Once we
time,
have-
I'm sure anything is possible.
Right.
Once we have freed the colonists, we will have plenty of time
Yes.
to whatever we wish to do.
Certainly keep in mind for later, but for now, I believe our own survival is of
Let
paramount.
us go to this junk shop.
Yes.
Just when we get there, don't call it a junk shop. My ex-wife is a bit sensitive, bit of a nickname that she doesn't approve of.
Oh, I'm sure. Don't worry.
Well, alright then, back the way I came, I suppose.
Perhaps we should lead. You just point where we're supposed to go.
Fine by me. I do appreciate the help already. We're hired to transport things and not save people, I suppose. I don't think there's payment for that involved, I'm afraid.
No, well, while we're here, we are also in danger, so it is more saving ourselves and by that saving everyone else. But don't worry. We'll get you there safe and sound, and we'll hopefully get everyone else out safe and sound.
He frowns a bit sadly as he presumably thinks about the alternative and will point the way.
We will go there.
Yes.
Good.
Indeed.
Shall we? Can we have a rest first, though?
Yeah,
A 10-minute rest?
Yeah.
10-minute rest is fine.
All right. Thank you.
While you take that rest, I would like to explain a thing we'll be using.
Yes.
On top of the map, you can see like a thing I put there, which should be largely self-explanatory what it represents, as in the alertness and awareness of the evil people. That counter will go up depending on the things you do. I don't have a table what exactly does how much, but things like starting a combat in middle of town without really taking any precautions whatsoever might raise that by 5, basically.
Yes.
While smaller things, such as spending some time in an area you shouldn't be in, that would raise it by 1. Some things might also lower it. If you have ideas how you would like to accomplish that, you can shoot me ideas. Otherwise, it's just gonna happen as a consequence to your action. Depending on which color level it is at, the things you might encounter and the way things you encounter might try to deal with you will change. Unaware means it's probably very plausible to just blend in and avoid patrols by just pretending you belong there. Whereas wary, they might start looking around. They know that something is out there at some point, so they might pay more attention. Vigilant plus means they do all the stops. They will check papers and do all the things, whereas anything above 12 is complete emergency lockdown.
Great.
In addition, in terms of short rests, and the counter will do one more sort of related thing. Every time you do something loud that might attract attention, or spend time in a place where you're not entirely safe, I will put a d6 on this place. Like every time something isn't quite subtle enough or might attract attention in some way, I'm going to put a d6 there. And every time you try to take a short rest in a place that is not completely safe, I will roll all those d6s.
Oh,
And if any of them come up with 1, something bad happens.
okay.
As in, you do not get your rest, and it will probably involve an encounter of some sort. Likely not necessarily a combat encounter if the counter is low, but as it gets higher, the things that might happen to you if you take a short rest while the tension is running high, as this is the tension counter, things might turn out badly then. So you may at any point take a short rest in any place, but I'm going to put dice there and roll them, and bad things might happen if you do.
Okay.
Right now, there isn't any because we just started. Oh shit, I deleted my dice.
Oops.
No, I can't.
That's okay.
That's okay. Just leave it like that.
No, there.
Oh god. Big
Use a
dice.
d20 instead. I mean,
Oh.
Okay.
Alright.
It's I'm trying to make it more palpable to see what the current tension level and the enemy awareness is. And while things are so vague, that's mostly because it's an introduction for future scenarios.
Right.
So you're already practiced with it.
Don't go
Get the
running and
foundation set up.
screaming through the forest. You don't
Probably
want
not.
to.
there's around. There's 40 guards.
Yeah.
It's worth noting that things that can also increase the counter are things like guards have been discovered missing.
Mhm.
As long as they don't, as long as they, you know, as long as we don't take too long between killing all of them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Just
there's
leave
going to be
one
what, like
unconscious,
8
though, since
missing
that's
right now?
gonna be-
Yeah, they need to be discovered
One of them is
first.
gonna run back and tell them what we look like.
Yeah.
It's true. Well, he's probably going to be beaten up by monkeys, but
Told you we should have killed him.
oh, I don't kill prisoners. That wasn't a threat.
We should have imprisoned him then. No, I'm kidding. Alright. Yes.
That,
We have all had
that
our
could be
rests.
something.
No more prisoners? Okay.
You fight to defend yourself. I mean, if people don't surrender, then there you go.
Well, they definitely are not surrendering. They want us to surrender. That's their parroted line. So
Mhm.
Let's go to this junk shop. Maybe there's something there we can use.
Yeah.
You mean a quiet mechanic shop?
yes.
Sheep, did this guy answer Barnabas's question about what his name was?
He did.
Yep.
I missed it.
His name is Gellick Folsom.
Gellick Folsom.
Gellick.
Okay.
Gellick.
Neat.
Nice.
Just quickly find a table.
He said ex-wife, right? Not wife.
Ex-wife, yeah.
Ex-wife,
Okay.
yeah.
There's still hope. I mean,
It doesn't take a sense motive check to know that there's a bit of tension.
Yeah.
I can't find a desk.
I mean, the wife has a functioning business, so. But man, it must be hard to live with someone you have that kind of tension with on a planet where you're part of the only 100 people that exist on it.
right, right.
Oh
So,
god
yeah.
damn it! My
Learn to
car
deal with
broke
it.
down. I'll have to go to the junk shop.
Jack,
I mean,
yeah,
every-
you should really
planet.
ask them about how awkward it is.
No, that's a tactless thing to do.
Alright. doing something I forgot to do. There we go.
It's all good.
Gellick can lead you through the dense undergrowth, and it does not take long to reach the edge of the colony. In particular, the metal wall of a container just past the bush, where he can point out that there's like a bush stuck to it. Behind it, a loose metal plate that he may or may not have used in the past to escape and enter. But that's been a while. But he hopes it's still there. And it is, in fact, still there. It's very, very awkward for Barnabas to actually fit in. And there's basically no chance that you don't make noise.
Right.
You can, however, give me a stealth check if you like.
I mean, I might as well. Where am I,
Yes.
though?
Yeah, the tokens are missing.
Oh, yeah, sorry. You are... just
Okay.
here.
What is my stealth? It's like a minus, I think. -2.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
we'll see.
that's not bad. For...
Oh,
Hey!
No, the rest of you don't really need to do anything.
just go through. This is quite spacious, really. You know, I've had to crawl through much smaller holes in my time.
Check
Yeah,
your
the-
bombs in a little water bubble.
Yeah, the mechanics workshop you're entering consists of 3 interconnected prefabricated modules, basically shipping containers stuck together. The central module that you're entering right now is quite open and appears to be a repair bay of some sort, although the tool chests and spools of wire and broken equipment and pieces of machinery and pieces of what may have been vehicles are stacked haphazardly, implying that it's more of a collection of junk rather than a place where things actually get repaired. There's just storage crates, broken furniture, scrapped engines, just a bunch of stuff. As you squeeze your way through the little hole besides the container, you do make a bit of noise, prompting that the woman who sort of sneaks around the corner, a large pipe in her hands that she sort of holds like a bat. Although as she rounds the corner and sees all of you and Gellick, she sort of gets confused for a moment, then lifts the pipe again and sort of more or less angrily points it at Gellick as she says, "What the hell?"
You can see, like, Barnabas trying to fit through the hole while pulling up his head, like, wait.
Thaddeus is like pushing his ass, like, get the fuck in there, you
Crafty
giant
metal
bear.
plate.
I would assume you'd like an explanation.
I would very much like so, yeah.
Well, long story short, for what you did for me, I came to thank you. I took a transport job, and with my crew, here I am in this mess, and found Gellick here being chased away by the guards, and, well, helped him out. And he said this was the place that would be safest, for now at least.
She lowers the pipe as she just sort of puts it on the floor. First appearing to want to drop it, but then apparently thinking better of it and just putting it down. She sort of swipes the sweat off her brow with a hand. She says, "Where are my manners? Just try to keep your voice down. There's landy aren't around these parts much, but you know, better careful than sorry, I suppose. I remember your people. I'm afraid I don't remember your name in particular, but I hope what I did helped. I certainly paid the price for it."
You've certainly saved us from being cast out into the vast packed worlds without anywhere to stay. And, well, courtesy first, my name is Barnabas. And my crew here, well, they can introduce themselves, but I think the main thing is, how are you all right? It's not a good situation here.
Oh, you don't need to tell me it's not a great situation. I mean, things could be much, much better, certainly. You really shouldn't have come here. You should have taken your ship and gotten the hell out of here.
Perhaps, but there is the unfortunate case of a anti-air missile in the middle.
And that's the truth, ain't it?
And while we have a very, very good and accomplished pilot, I would rather not take the risk.
Well, I suppose. How about you find a box and sit down? I'll see if I can find some food. We are relatively safe here. Patrols are few, rarely come into this place. Searched it often enough.
Right. As Barnabas, like, he can't really move anywhere. He's like trying his best not to touch anything because he knows that anything could make noise and there's a lot of like parts everywhere. And he's just like, I'll just stand in one place.
Thaddeus just sits on the floor. Doesn't bother getting a box or whatever.
Well, to give you the quick rundown, things are really not great. Occupation's been going on for weeks at this point. Been told we've been annexed by the Islanti Star Empire, whoever those folk are. And she sort of shrugs. Not sure what they want with this place. It's not exactly rich in anything. I would assume they're after that tech we found, but they could have just taken it.
It would probably seem that
I mean, there must be more to come for afterwards. Otherwise, they would have just taken it and left, right? Like,
I
mean,
there must be
I don't know,
something holding their progress.
I mean, what
Something
the-
more they're searching for.
Oh, it must be something damn big if the Islanti Star Empire is effectively declaring proper war on the Pact Worlds. It's a Abada Corp colony, for sake. Even pirates hesitate at least.
well, but we haven't heard anything of this, certainly.
No, it's. Truth be told, it is the vast. It's certainly some distance away. Communication is slow, transportation even slower. Can't really expect much help to come anytime soon, especially since they slagged the comm building.
We as a help.
a blessing
Well-
in disguise, I would say.
I don't know what deity has ears large enough to listen to the vast, but you are certainly a prey, aren't it? If you're here to help us, I will take any help we can get.
The
It
water
is-
body forms a hand and gives a thumbs up.
After what you have done is the least I can do to repay you.
I don't expect any repayment, but I suppose I should stop trying to be humble and get you to work, I suppose. Otherwise, we're never going to get rid of these soldiers all the time.
Very well said.
You certainly did come to the right place, or Gellick did. I don't know if he himself knows, but I've sort of been trying to coordinate resistance. And for some reason, I'm in charge of that now. Although Sedona would be so much better at this than I am. I think she was some sort of something involving pistols at some point, but I'm the best we got right now.
Thaddeus
Regardless,
sort of
you
mouths that
are.
last bit.
Yeah. You have stepped up, and that is all that matters. And now, I'm giving you all the help that I can give.
Well, that is. How about we get to the point then? I assume your travel here hasn't been entirely uneventful. As she glances towards Gellick, who has an obvious, like, grazing wound. You see, we do have a plan of sorts, but we just don't have the firepower to really do it. All the weapons we have in the colony are A, on lockdown, and B, too small to do anything. The biggest predator on this planet are goddamn tiny monkeys. We didn't really expect to need heavy weaponry.
Right.
So we figured, the other resistance members and I, and we figured we need to obviously weaken the Aslanti, and we have some ideas at least. Need to, reduce their numbers, scatter them all over the place, confuse them, and get whatever benefits we can get for the other colonists. It would help to get more people on our side too, but they are disheartened, to say the least. Nobody came here because they're soldiers or because they're capable of fighting their farmers and scientists and whatnot. They don't really have the heart to do any of this. We need someone like you, really. Someone who has more bigger guns than a pistol.
Thaddeus looks at the rifle in his arms and then the rifle in his back and the knife in his boot, and he's like,
Pierre loves resistances.
Of course.
Of course it does.
Well, I'll touch on one point then. You said you needed more firepower, and while we are adequately armed, I'm sure you would require more. Where would we find that?
And, well, really, I don't quite know. There are some mining outposts that might not have been discovered by the Aslanti, but there's maybe a handful of people with a few mining lasers at best. Not going to find an army on this planet.
We did take a couple from, patrols that we've encountered, and Andy motions to 4 tactical railguns.
Yeah.
I will say 6. Come on. Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And have a hunting rifle if someone in your group would like to use it.
They are more in the hands of the enemy.
Indeed. That's where I was going with that.
We just need to sneak in, take some rifles, and get out. Can't be that hard.
Yeah, but then you still need some people to actually use them. No soldiers about in this colony, I'm afraid. The only ones who were able to resist did so and got shot. People are disheartened, to say the least. Give them a gun and they're probably just going to hand them to the Aslanti, fearing that they might get imprisoned or shot otherwise. Now, what we need to do is show people that this enemy can be hurt. Needs to be hurt. If you're up for this, a show of force, exactly, but not an obvious one. Just a few dead Aslanti here and there would do.
Well, we already started that.
Some work.
We've got a dozen out in the forest if they want to go and look at that.
Oh, well, you've followed the way there then. We estimate that there's about 45 of the buggers.
Point me at a hill.
We may be able to come up with some alternatives to, sentient force. And he seems to be pondering something in his mind.
I don't think we have the time to build war robots.
How about explosives? Like a tiny light sparks in Chip's eyes. She says this.
Now that is more along the lines of what we're thinking.
If your goal is to confuse and divide, then a few controlled explosives in various places certainly would do the job.
Yeah, but as it stands right now, they would also hurt the people living here unless, well, you do something to get them away from it. It's the right direction, but we need more surgical things. I have some ideas if you would like to listen, perhaps. So if you move your view over to the map to your left,
Yes.
as an overview, which is literally what she's gonna put on the table. The identical. Oh, she'll even take Gellick's map, put it on a table, and put a bunch of pins in places.
She will like try to discreetly like put her paw over the junk shop and like
So, a couple places me and my fellow resistance leaders have picked out as priority targets. We'll get to the big ones last, but the one I'm most worried about is the storehouse to the southeast here. This place. Doesn't contain much that might be useful. Might be some chemicals if you want to build a bomb. But main thing is the clerk there. He's a bit of a hero. I'm worried about him. He's not a hero, but he would, you know the type. Spindly, thin like a leaf, but wants to punch people in the face.
Yes, the opposite of he kind of he kind of turns slightly towards Gellick, but then stops when he realizes what he's saying. But yes, continue.
I tried to get someone to at least check on him, but there's no sign of him, and the place is obviously guarded, being the main storehouse and all. So, on the other hand, it's not exactly gonna turn this occupation on its head. It's just something I think. Just worried, you know.
We all have to start small, and this is the first step. Getting more people safe is probably the best thing to do.
She nods. Now, something that might be slightly more effective and, quite frankly, quite funny too. I don't know how much you know about this place, but main annoyance in this entire planet, as far as I'm aware, are those monkey things, the hopgas. The small things shoot like static zaps at people and steal a bunch of stuff.
Yes,
Overall
those.
menace, really.
We've had an encounter.
The way we've been sort of dealing with them in the colony is to trap them. A well-placed bait and a trap does a lot. The trap obviously hasn't been emptied in a while, considering the occupational, so there's probably a bunch of angry opgas in a trap. If those were to be released, they would most likely go for the shiniest things and hopefully do more harm against the Islanti than against us. I'd expect they would go for that garrison building of theirs right away, maybe rip out some wires and be overall, well, as annoying as I know they can be. Could be worth investigating. However, that area is a bit risky. Center of town, near the garrison. Don't know if you can sneak up there and release the trap easily.
we would probably need some kind of diversion. No.
Thaddeus
It
looks
would
to
likely.
Thaddeus
Go
will
ahead.
look to Jacques Pierre with a smirk.
And of course, the monkeys don't really have allegiances, so even if we released all of them, I doubt they'd be grateful for it. So she shrugs. It can go either way, really, but it's an idea at least.
It would be something to do if we get to a place where the people need evacuating, something to distract the Aslanti while we run away.
The problem is they will also most likely go for us. I mean, I have a couple shiny things, and Nugget suddenly does too.
Pierre bobs in the water. Says, "I could do it."
Yes. I believe we have ways of manipulating things from a distance.
I do like distances.
Thaddeus lifts his gun, like, yeah.
A bit loud, but yeah, Jacques Pierre will telekinetically lift like a can or something.
Yeah.
Juggle it with his telekinetic hand.
As you do that, Andy will sort of like raise his left arm, and then sort of like a touch screen sort of like shoots out from under it, and he presses something and then points towards another can and does the same thing.
Well, I can see you have ideas too. Might work, but you'd still have to get pretty close to it, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Repeats, "I can do it."
So could I.
She smiled faintly. So, on to the bigger things. One of the main things the Aslanti have been using to suppress the colonists and make sure they do what they are told, or at least do what they are pointed at, as most of these Atlantic bastards don't even speak Pact or Common, is they've rationed the water. Somehow. We're not entirely sure, actually. Colony doesn't have a well. It's got a moisture collector. Lots of fog around, easy water source, really. But somehow the Aslanti made it so that no colonist can actually draw water from it these days. It's not even guarded. It just doesn't work for any of us. And quite frankly, we're not entirely sure why. Seems to work fine for the Aslanti, though. They hand out water regularly, but we haven't been able to figure out anything, really.
Seems like an important thing to fix before we kill all of them.
Well, yeah.
If we can reverse that, sabotage it so it doesn't work for them, while keeping it a resource for the colonists, that may even be a way to starve them or keep them distracted without necessarily suspect. Yeah. But that way they wouldn't necessarily suspect that there would be people behind it, perhaps just malfunctioning equipment, something that wouldn't raise alarms.
It would look a bit weird if it suddenly started working for the people that they're imprisoning. And not them. Maybe if we stocked some water up for the colonists for a while, then we shut it off completely. The colonists just run on the stored water.
I say we aim to have them all gone by tomorrow. We just need to dwindle them enough so that we can take the rest of them.
I don't know about that.
Well, your fishy friend has a point. Sooner or later, you're gonna have to attack the garrison. Explosives are nice and all, but they're not gonna give up their hostages to make a convenient target for that sort of strategy. And quite frankly, we haven't really figured out a good way to do that other than just straight up firepower. Although, of course, if you can take out patrols and such, they'll be spread thin and either have to decide between keeping the colony under control or being bunkered in their bunker.
What was your name again? Sorry, Miss Ex-Wife. Sorry.
she glowers a bit.
You look good. By the way, when do they go to get the water from those water collectors? If we could take out that patrol, we could also seize the water and give it to, the people who should have it.
Believe it's every morning, although sometimes they just don't as a show of force or something. It's already happened today.
I say we do the least suspicious thing first. It must be this outlying mining location.
I don't think there's really much point to go to the mining locations. The people there are either not going to be much help, or the Aslanti might have already been there. Quite a trip too. Without vehicles, it'll take you days at least.
Yeah, that's an option then.
The closest seems to be the first thing.
Name's Beretta Folsom, by the way, and my last name is only Folsom because of the bureaucracy involved in changing it. Thank you very much. Now,
so Beretta.
Ouch.
Getting back to the relevant points, other than my failed marriage, there's one more place that might be worth checking out. Madeline's place. He's imprisoned, of course, being the leader of the colony and all, but his place seems mostly unguarded. There's one patrol in the way. I'm still curious what the Aslanti really want from us, and if it's about that tech, well, Madeline's data stores probably have information on it. Could give you an idea what the Aslanti are all about. Not exactly sure what, however, you can find there. And, of course, the last, most critical and really only important task that is at the end is to somehow assault the garrison and free the prisoners.
Yes, that one would be the most important.
So, to recap, basically. There's too many of them in town. If we attack the battery immediately, we'll probably die, lose.
Yep.
there's
Most likely.
explosives in the storehouse we could seize and use.
Chemicals to make them, yeah.
Chemicals, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Someone there as well.
there's this hop guard trap we could release, and hopefully they will beat up some of the guards in the battery or like mess up their stuff.
I mean,
Then there's the water we could reclaim, and of course, like colonists we could try to rally. So that seems to be a difficult thing to do. And then there's this module where we get some information.
I don't think there's much chance in actually rallying. It seems like they're mostly non-combatants.
It would be more from what we actually accomplish rather than actively trying.
Yeah, so that we could say that they're a nice bonus if they come, but it's certainly not something we can rely on.
I think the storehouse, as it being the closest thing, is probably the best thing to check out first. I don't feel like splitting people up.
It is
but
pretty
maybe-
guarded as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
If we do any fighting inside this city, right? Like, that's
We're
gonna be
kinda in
pretty
trouble.
obvious.
Well, there's one place where it might actually not be that obvious if you're a bit bloodthirsty. That's the cemetery out of town. Patrol goes by there, and it's far enough away that you might get away with shooting some of them without the others being aware of it until they find out, of course.
Good murder spot.
What?
Good murders. Yes.
That seems like a good first option then. It will take some time for the others to discover the missing patrol, and if we get discovered doing something else, at least those guards will not be there to help the others.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
On
fair
the
point.
contrary, we could potentially wait until just before we plan on attacking the battery, the prison, and getting rid of some of them with less time involved. To never mind. It's a silly plan. Don't worry about it. I'm
You
sorry.
do have a point. It is once we start doing whatever we want to do, we probably won't have much time before they figure something out. So perhaps we should do the most discreet things to give us the most time that we have. And when it's, too late, then we can start getting a bit more direct.
But
Well-
they're gonna expect it, right?
Why would they expect it? They don't know we're here yet.
Well,
well, we
many things that could go wrong, many things that could tip them off. A break into the storehouse, their water not working, that sort of thing.
I mean, if their water wasn't working, I wouldn't certainly think the first thing was that there were rogue colonists trying to upset the balance. I'm sure that we have someone who is good at engineering and someone who is good with computers. Between what we have, I'm sure we can figure out something that is very discreet of a fault that isn't directly obvious as tampering.
Chip will nervously look around. Obviously, discreet is not usually her. I mean, we could probably figure something out. But I mean, we must remember that we have already killed guards.
Yep.
They were out on patrol. I don't know when they were supposed to get back, but
We are on the clock.
Well, quite frankly, your timing couldn't have been better. I believe whoever that woman who seemed to be their leader, she left some days ago, presumably to go to that crashed ship or whatever. Quite possible that with leadership not present, now's the time to strike.
How do they communicate?
Oh, they have radios, but it doesn't work well in this atmosphere. I don't think they can reach whatever group they have sent to the ship.
I was more
We
thinking.
don't really have that issue anymore. Tyr basically fixed it hours after landing.
That's it. I think you win half the battle if you know what your enemy's gonna do. If we can get into the communication module, hack into their main command line.
That ain't gonna work. Our comm module got slacked. It's molten steel, nothing else. Their comm module is the garrison.
Yeah.
Right.
We basically just need to reduce their numbers and then take the garrison, and then we will have time enough to deal with minor things after.
Wait, so
Have
they...
you considered an evacuation?
Yeah, but we couldn't really get everyone out without being chased by people with guns. Too many would die. Some might make it to the forest, but then what?
We have a ship. If we could make it safer, we could run away. Get out of here.
If we could run away with all the colonists without being chased, then sure, but I don't see that happening. And there's still the AA battery.
The people in there, I owe one of them a favor, personally. Been helped in the past. I would not leave with Sedona still captive.
Me too. You know her as well?
Yes, she has helped me in the past.
Huh. Thing in common then.
Let's say I've got a reason to find her as well. Seems she's a popular lady.
Well, I don't know who that lady is, but Tyr is in here, and I have not traveled this far and gotten this, excuse me, weird job for not seeing him. We've got to free them. Like, there is no option.
Yeah. Yes.
We try to get as little help from the colonists as possible. We would not want to. We would not want to make them targets.
No.
Then again, I assume the garrison, if they wanted the civilians gone, would have taken care of that already.
So as a talk about actually what we're going to do, rather than hash this out in character, what do you guys think?
I would suggest murder as the first thing. Just because if we fuck the other thing up, there will be less like people coming for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a player, I completely agree with Matt. Like 100%. My just a character development thing.
That's why I wanted to ask, because you know.
Can I just ask, how many guards did she estimate again?
40 or 50 or something.
In total, somewhere between 40 and 50. Although some of those have apparently left, including their leader, and she really doesn't know much. She knows roughly where there might be patrols. Yeah. And she knows that most of them really are concentrated at their garrison.
Right.
All right. So
the only disadvantage to starting to subtly ahead of town is if they start getting more aware of it, realize that the numbers are dropping, they might concentrate their area on the battery and the garrison, actually making it harder for us to get the prisoners out.
The problem is any of the less, like the more discreet things we do will be pretty obvious at that point. Like it wouldn't be worth doing them.
Well, I mean, many of these things we could do discreetly. We could also do if they all haul up. Like we could still fix the water and get the explosives and like.
Yeah, if they haul up in there, we can fix the water. So they have to do something about it. There's ways around it.
That's true. Yeah, if we wait and do the water later, that could actually be a way to bait them out. They would have to.
Yeah.
Come out.
And then we could.
I would honestly probably go for the murdering first and then the water, just because it could be a way to get some civilians to help us. Not in that they should like go fight, but they might be able to lure away another patrol of guards because hot guards have like taken something or done something bad. Maybe Mrs. Folsom here can figure something out that they could tell the guards, so to lure them away, so we could murder another group of them.
Well, before we get too far down this road, the other thing we could do is go to Madeline first because we don't have all the information. We're making plans, like while aware that there is info we don't have.
Yeah, and
we could learn about something that would completely change the course of whatever plan we were going to make.
She did say that there was only one patrol there, I believe, so it would be a bit more risky, but it would be the same difficulty as trying to murder them at the cemetery, just a bit more risky, but we have to do it anyway. So
exactly, it satisfies the murder plan and also potentially gains some critical information that we could then use to form the rest of what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Chances are, I suppose, that they won't check up on that quickly, so we can hide the bodies and then
go
to the other murder spot too. You know.
yeah, even if they like, if that one guy's aware that there are new arrivals here, it's not the first place you would expect someone to go to.
And he's not going to wake up for a bunch more hours, but
Yeah.
eventually, yeah. But at that point, hopefully, a lot more people are dead, and this is all.
And his
Yeah.
comms are gone, and everything else, I'm
Yeah.
assuming. So, like, it's going to take a
Well,
while.
hopefully
Well, he might not
hopefully
even
the
know
monkeys
way.
just kill him. Yeah, the monkeys might just kill him too. So, assuming they don't.
Beretta will, however, add that trying to kill the patrol near Madeline's place, she really doesn't think it's a good idea because you're going to be fighting in the middle of town, pretty much. It's not going to be something you can keep quietly. However, sneaking past them, especially since they don't really know that you're here, shouldn't be that difficult. You are a fish person and a huge bear, so that might prove a problem.
Does
Perfect and staying stealthy.
yeah. Does
But
Madeline know if there's a back entrance or something? Because we could sneak along this area and then try and get in somewhere along here.
Beretta knows that there's only one entrance.
Oh, lovely.
Unless we make one,
However,
which is not really.
I mean, again, the information could be useful, but it might also just be about that they're here to get this goddamn thing that they want. That's nice and all, but you know.
Or it could be something else.
Actually, in character, she will add, you know what? If you need firepower, I do have another idea. Madeline's place got a firefighting system in case something goes horribly wrong in the colony. It's a coolant sprayer, not meant to be used as a weapon, but I suppose you could get a few shots out of that at full power. That ought to mess things up.
Cryo spray. That's interesting.
It's a coolant thrower.
Cool,
Wow.
bro. That's kind of interesting.
It's a cryo flamethrower. A heavy.
That sounds so cool.
Can anyone use heavy weapons?
No.
I can.
I
'Cause
don't
I think
know.
soldiers can. But
Soldiers
it's
can
really
use
what?
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can use it.
Man, just for the cool factor. Kind of go get that.
As an aside, Sheep, can Barnabas dump the extra guns he pilfered that we're not using at her workshop?
There's so much junk and mess around that hiding things here is very easy.
Alright.
Yeah, I think we should hold on to those.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know, how much Sheep will let me get away with it, but especially if there's all kinds of junk and motors around here, perhaps we could make a turret.
That could be investigated.
Yeah. All you would really need is like a motor.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, if I leave the stuff at the workshop, that's more than likely where you're gonna make it anyway. So.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you said dump it, I wasn't sure.
No, I mean like
get
not
rid
on
of
me because I can't move.
Yeah,
They're
right.
really
Gonna
heavy.
raise me
Just-
for the hell of it.
Just just stash it in a corner somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, I misunderstood your meaning.
No, you're good. Don't worry.
So, are we
Yes.
going to get the information, and are we all going? Question.
Another question. It might be important for Alberta here. What about the stables? What's in there?
I was gonna ask that.
Oh yeah.
The stables have hover bikes. We have 8 of those. However, the Atlanti used 5 of those to get to the place, and the other 3 are currently inoperable.
Aha, 5 are gone.
For now.
Did
I mean,
they?
it is
haven't
particularly
really-
useful for this. So.
Haven't really taken a look at those. Probably repairable, but they're not going to help you attacking anything, really. They are bikes, not tanks.
Yeah. Perhaps they could be used as some sort of distracting thing when we on the day where we actually go attack this place.
I'd rather have them for later so we can get after that lady faster.
Yeah.
That's
Whatever they're
true.
here to
Yeah.
find is probably not something you want them to find.
Either way, having them in working order down the road seems like something we should keep in mind.
Yeah.
But
Could
we need to
sneak
repair them, so late enough that they just don't find them useful.
Yeah.
I mean,
Regardless, whichever route we decide to go, in regards to your other question, Ari, I think we should all go just because it's kind of boring if someone's
Yeah.
sitting around not doing anything. But it does make it hard to stealth around with such notable.
I think again,
people around
stealthing is risky. Murdering a bunch of people. I mean,
We
Yeah,
get
that's
that.
fine. Yeah, that's fine. But as Sheep said, it's in the middle of the town. It's not going
Yeah.
to be
Oh,
discreet.
yeah, no, not there. The good murder spot, I meant.
Oh yeah,
would be where
Yeah,
we
that's
go.
fine. Yeah. It's just
And then repairing the water makes sense to me, just so we could have civilian backing. Who knows? Someone might know something that they could tell us about, or like
Yeah.
it seems like a low risk sort of thing because the time that they're gonna if they're gonna come tomorrow morning to get this water, hopefully most of them are dead at that.
Hmm.
Hell, at that point, we might just snipe them from the bushes when they come to do it. I mean,
Yeah, that is definitely a good point. If the water's not working, they have to so bait them into.
and also,
into
if we
traps.
can't fix it, then maybe we shouldn't kill everyone. That would suck. If we killed everyone, they'd be like, "Oh, we don't have water anymore."
Well,
Yeah.
presumably Tyr would be able to fix it because he's like some mega
He's like
dude.
genius guy.
Yeah,
Don't check
Mega
Peter
mind.
doesn't know anything about him.
he's some genius shrimp, I think, isn't he?
What?
Okay.
I don't know.
I
Oh,
see
they're
your note here.
slug-like
Yeah.
creatures.
Sounds delicious.
They look like shrimps. Just saying.
I'm fine with any of the
Maybe.
options that we want to do first. I have my own personal preference, but my character is not very assertive, so any of them are good. Let's just go do something.
if we went murder spot and then Madelon, pin out like the fact that if we, because I'm assuming that we don't have much time before all the stuff goes down. So as Malachi said, tending them out
Yeah.
just in case we fail.
Oh,
is
yeah,
a good
for sure.
idea.
I mean,
Well, if nothing else, the murder
Oh,
spot. If the murder spot draws attention, then they might go away from Madeline's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, they are this is the time where we get the most surprise, so it would probably be the best to ambush them very easily.
Kill a bunch of them.
All right.
Yeah.
Hide,
What?
Like
Sounds good.
here, and then they walk
Let's
past
do it.
here, and we just like open fire and jump them and murder them quickly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dig out some of the graves ahead of time and just toss them in there.
They don't get too married.
Barnabas will question Abrietta about how are the colonists allowed to be around, or are all of them taken into the garrison?
Oh, people are around. They still have to do their work to keep all this place running. It's martial law. We're not. I suppose we're prisoners, but there's no house arrest.
If I were to pose as one of you,
I mean, I don't think the Aslanti really know exactly who lives in the colony, but they would know that there's no sentient bears.
yes, just an
Perhaps he
idea.
could pretend to just be a wild bear. Is there any kind of wildlife that he could potentially be?
I believe the largest predator on the planet is.
Yeah,
oh,
we
God.
captured this in the forest.
I'm a bit offended, guys. But yeah.
I would never want you to do that, Barnabas.
Well, if you can count on one thing, it's
It
that
was
the
the,
Aslanti don't know anything about any of us or this planet. You could pretend that you are the ascended hobgas, and they'd probably believe you.
No,
Oh.
that is.
The alternative is just
Very
making sure that
uniqueness.
the alternative is just always traveling in these bushes here whenever possible.
That is really loud.
Yeah,
Just cutting through jungle.
I am.
yeah,
heavy
but
on
also
it.
walking through town
Besides,
with.
I mean, we might fuck up killing these people. I say we do this thing, and then we can consider what to do next after.
Sure.
Sure.
That's,
Sure.
We don't need to
that's
sign
good.
everything now, because
Yeah.
who
Chip,
knows
were
what's
you,
gonna happen.
were you gonna say something? Chip?
Nope.
No? Okay. I thought, okay. Yeah, let's go murder some people.
Yay! yeah.
See you last.
I will die quietly in a corner.
Yeah. Are you our first to die?
Yes.
Before we leave though, Andy would struggle with this idea just in character. He'd kind of be like in the corner a bit, maybe shaking at the idea of killing people.
Barnabas will go over and
Hmm.
well, I suppose kneeling down would be put them at the same height. So he will do that. Place a hand on his shoulder and he'll say, "Look, Andy, I know this is not well. It's not good, and I know you are scared, but the reality is, if we do this successfully, then we will have a really good chance of getting out of here and saving all of these colonists. But more than that, you have me. And if something were to go wrong, you can certainly trust in me to get you up before me.
I came here to get away from people being like this. I don't know if I can do this again.
I understand, Andy, but our choices are limited, and it is something we both have to struggle through. And you are not by yourself anymore. You have all of us with you.
I know, and I feel responsible to help Sedona. She helped me, but I didn't do much last time. I just sort of got swept along. But this time, it's like killing people. I'm a student. I didn't want to do this, and it felt real with those other guards before. It's not an adventure. It's real murder. I know I'm not flesh and blood like most people here, but it still feels. I know you're right. I just don't like it.
I understand. And if you want to stay behind, I would understand. But
No, I don't.
I need you as much as we need each other. And I understand it is tough, but this is the reality of the world as it is. And it is a tough shock to you, I understand, to go through that. But if we are to get out of here safely, then we will need your help.
Barnabas, it's not just that. It's, well, up until recently, I learned recently that I can't trust my own instincts. They were the results of a survey, what people thought I should do. So I don't know if I'm wanting to do this or wanting to run away because someone else is telling me to. How am I supposed to know what's right and wrong when I can't know that for sure?
Well, that's why you have me. I am your respectable and confident leader, and I will try my best to steer you the right way so that you may learn for yourself.
You weren't part of it?
No.
My inner voice?
No, I heard some of it, but I didn't participate.
You saw it then.
I did. And I know that whatever happened has happened, and yet you are still here. And regardless, time presses on. We must go.
He sort of looks down at himself for a bit and then back up at you and nods. Still shaky, but probably the most confident he's been. He seems pretty reassured by your words. Okay.
Are we?
If you...
Excuse me. I'm just gonna be straightforward here and say that I heard everything you said. I'm sorry. Hearing and stuff. Would it help if you thought about this as a machine? Right now it's malfunctioning. We are under a virus attack, I should say. And we need to fix it so it can work as it was intended, you know? As far as killing, I don't think any of us, she like looks at Thaddeus like maybe some of us, but
Thaddeus and
most of us are not comfortable with that.
We
But-
shall murder everybody, huh, Jacques Pierre?
This is only a question of time.
Certainly,
Fist bumps the water and it's nice.
Those swirly tentacles.
certainly, it seems like it is the option we have, and it's not like these people haven't already, well, done the same to all the people who resisted. So
Yeah, you're right.
In addition to that, those drones that we shot down above this planet, they had to be piloted by somebody. It's quite possible that any of these could have been a pilot.
It's just that when they pick up a gun and point it at us, they choose to risk their lives. They know what they risk, just as we do. I would not blame them for trying to shoot me when I am attacking them, just as they do not get to blame me for doing the same.
You're right. I don't like this, but sometimes the way to stop people from being like this is to stop them yourself, I suppose.
In an ideal world, you could speak to them and convince them of your superior opinion. However, this is not that world.
No. I don't know if any of them exist.
Many things exist, I cannot say.
Let's just be done with this then.
Let's go murder some people. Yay!
Yay! Murder!
Murder!
Just feel better if you call them the enemy.
All right.
Traveling anywhere in the colony is going to require a check of some sort. If you choose to use the jungle, for example, I would like a survival check. On a failure, things may happen. It's probably going to be less bad in the jungle than it is in the actual colony, because the worst thing that might happen to you is pop gas or lightning strikes or a myriad of other things that can go wrong, but nothing involving the Islanti most likely.
Okay.
But
And
it's not entirely risk-free, is what I'm saying.
If we wanted to go through the town, what sort of thing?
Then you would have to tell me how exactly you intend to do that, whether you want to sneak from shadow to shadow or try to blend in with the people who are walking around. There's still people working and going around their daily lives.
Mhm.
It's just, they're not doing it as happily as before.
Huh.
I don't think either of those latter two options are really feasible with our group.
Not with everyone.
Guns blazing would not require a check other than attack rolls.
oh,
And people dying. Including
Could
us.
hear Malachi scrolling over his macro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm-
Ready to fire.
I'm fine with either, but I'm better at stealthing.
same.
Yeah.
You could, of course, split up and regroup later.
Yeah. I was gonna say, if I... Like, I'm not good at stealth. I am okay in the survival.
Mm.
And if you guys get caught, you have a far better chance of convincing them that you're colonists. Whereas if we fail and they see me, they're like, that's not good.
And we do have short-range radios on us that we can talk to each other in emergency.
I wouldn't trust them, though, just in case there's anyone entering communication.
Well, if someone pulled a gun on one of us and we needed to regroup, I'm pretty sure we could run that risk.
Yeah, I would just
Fair
be
enough.
late.
Yeah. Yeah, all right.
I'm fine
I
with
mean-
splitting up.
Yasaki are everywhere in the universe, so
Option. It's mainly just me. And he looks a bit sad.
oh, I'm sorry, Harry.
After
well-
that motivational speech, I feel like even though I'm much better at stealthing, Andy would basically just go wherever Barnabas goes.
I think Barnabas would advise you to go with whoever is stealthing.
Is it a
Hmm.
group check we're doing, or is it?
That's what I was
It
gonna
would
ask.
be a group check. You don't all have to roll survival. Survival is just the most appropriate skill if you travel through the jungle. But if you can think of a creative use of another skill, you may use that.
Well,
No,
if,
what I'm saying, if one person fails, is it a failure for everyone?
No.
Oh,
Then we
I
can
thought there was
stealth.
individual. Then
Basically,
she...
we can sneak
Oh,
because a lot of us are good at sneaking, and if Barnabas makes some noise, we can compensate.
okay. I
I
thought
think
it
we
was
should do
individual
that.
checks. So I
Yeah.
mean,
There
that's...
may be
Then we would
situation
maybe-
where a group check wouldn't work. Like you can't pretend to be colonists while you have a bear.
yeah,
He's
we
my
would.
mount. What are you talking about?
We would.
Yeah,
stealth.
unless you come up with either a good disguise or a good cover story. It's not impossible. It's just
Pack animal.
But
By
in general,
default, yeah.
in general, it's a skill challenge. Half of you have to succeed at something appropriate.
Right.
I mean, we could do that then, I suppose.
I mean, I have
yeah.
a +5.
So the question then becomes, what would we rather risk failing? Right?
Okay.
Yeah,
start-
the consequences differ massively. Like failing in sneaking through the jungle might lose you a bunch of time, might make you encounter monkeys, might make a whole lot of things. But it's probably not going to involve the Aslanti. While being discovered trying to pretend to be colonists in the middle of town is probably rather bad, actually.
Hmm.
Considering, however, that the occupiers are currently unaware, it's also going to mean that pretending to be something you're not currently is very easy.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay.
I suggest we try that.
Well, what is the cover story for me existing? Because let's get that straight before